Welcome everybody. Let's jump right into this. My goal is to help you to really win the remainder of this year of 2023. As you're watching this, September, October, November, December, those 4 months, I want you to finish strong. And sometimes we just need a mentor or a message to come at the right time. You need a new insight or an individual. I'm going to turn this into a workshop with a piece of paper. I'd love for you to write down, let's say 12 months pass. And we're going to fast forward because you do have this incredible ability to go through time and space. Do this thought experiment with me. 12 months goes by and let's say you're exactly the same. Are you happy? If everything is exactly the same 12 months from now, let's say it is, the summer, or I know people are watching this around the world. Let's say it's this day, 2024. Would you be happy? Because if you're attracted to our community and you're part of our community, then you want to be able to grow, and growth is a choice. There's a quote in Limitless that says, "Life is the letter C between B and D." And I've said this so many times. It's from a French philosopher. B is birth, D is death, life C. What's in the middle is choice. At any time we have a choice. So I'm going to talk about some choices that you can make upstream. But as you think about the next 12 months, what would you like to be? Who would you like to be? What would you like to do? What would you like to have in your life? What would you like to share? Be, do, have, share is the master success formula, right? You have to be someone to be able to do something in order to have something, in order to be able to share, right? So you could put it in the chat or put it in your notes. Your B is like I am, your I am statements, which are the most powerful words in the English language, the two shortest words, I am, because whatever you put after that is your life, right? Tony Robbins says it's your destiny. So what would you like to be? Who would you like to be? Would you like to be motivated? Would you like to be a speed reader? Would you like to be more focused? And then also, would you like to be an entrepreneur? Would you like to be a better parent? Would you like to be a millionaire? Or would you like to, whatever you want to be? And then from there, kind of extrapolate. When you're being that person, how does that person behave? Like all the time I ask this question, I talk about dominant questions and questions are the answer. I ask myself all the time, I say if I'm facing a difficulty or a demand, most people ask, what do I need to do? I would step back and say, who do I need to be at this moment? Right? You have a to-do list. I would encourage you to have a to-be list. And don't just kind of hear my words and just say oh yeah, I've heard that before. Start it. What's on your to-be list? If you choose to be compassionate, the behaviors take care of themselves, don't they? And so, what do you want to be able to do with this? And I ask myself all the time, a question like, what would somebody who's 10 times smarter than me, what would they do in this situation? What would somebody who is 10 times more loving, what would they be doing right now, right? How would they behave? So it's be and then do, and that doing creates results. So it allows you to have certain things in your life. But you don't want to jump right to the have without being, right? We've talked about this before, all the studies done and the follow-up done on people who win the lottery, all of a sudden they have millions of dollars, they have, right? But they lose it over time. In fact, they lose it and more over time because they were never being wealthy. They were never being a millionaire, which means they weren't doing the things, the practices. For me, what we're going to talk about a lot today is about improving your intuition. Your intuition, for me, functionally, it's not an airy-fairy feeling. It's all about pattern recognition. I believe genius leaves clues, that if somebody is exceptional in some area of their life and they put it, let's say, into a book, and you can sit down and read that book, what I'm searching for in those books are patterns of great parenting, patterns for wealth accumulation, patterns for savings and investing, patterns for health, right? Patterns for people that live longer. And that's why if you listen to our podcast, I'm constantly sorting and trying to deconstruct genius and saying, what are these people doing? And how can I make it very explicit? Because sometimes when someone is exceptional at something, they don't know why they're exceptional at that thing. And so who are you being? What are you doing? What do you want to be? What do you want to do? What do you want to have? And then ultimately, what do you want to share in your life? Because I do believe the key is you learn to earn to return. And that giving back is so important because you teach your nervous system that there's enough. That's why we ground everything we do in mindset. It's not about time management. It's really about mind management. And remember, the most important thing is to keep the most important things the most important things. So as you're finishing out this year, the next handful of months and you really want to win, like fast forward and ask yourself, 12 months goes by and you're celebrating. My friend Clay Bear, he has this concept of the champagne moment. And he talks about the champagne moment. And and how many of you love sports? You love football and soccer or tennis, whatever you're watching. And when they're going to open up the champagne, it's very clear, right? Because it's clear when they won, right? So, well, do you have those champagne moments in your life? 12 months goes by, and what are the choices that you're making up to that point? And how do you know if you should be celebrating or not? Because you can't hit a target that you can't see, right? And that's the whole thing. You can't hit a target that you can't see. And so what I want to share with you are some concepts here to really access and really assess the next 12 months. In fact, I'll give you some A's, all right? I tend to alliterate a lot. And so if we're going to help you to win by the end of this year. Let's say we're ending the year together and you're celebrating, looking back, and the past few months previous to that, September, October, November, December was even greater than the previous months combined. Like, I want you to make the next 4 months. I want the previous 4 months to be jealous of the next 4 months, right? If that makes sense. So here's the first A is you want to assess. How has the past 12 months been for you? Like, just do an honest assessment. I'm not asking you to be positive, but be real. How, instead of, positive thinking, let's have some realistic thinking. Where are you currently right now? How has the 12 months been for you right now as you're thinking about it? And so the first thing we do when we want to make change as I'm coaching somebody is to assess where you are, right? Because you have to see your current reality. And then the second thing I would say after you assess the past 12 months in the key areas of your life, maybe it's your health. How's your health been the past 12 months? How has your relationships been the past 12 months? How has your finances been the past 12 months? How has your personal education or your learning been the past 12 months? Are you learning more, than you thought was possible? This is something that I feel like is universal, right? Nothing is ever static. Nothing ever stays the same. In nature, everything has to be green and it grows, or if it's brown, it rots. And so nothing remains static because the world doesn't remain static, right? It's always advancing. So I wrote this new book, that's coming out in a couple of months, the expanded version, to be kind of a treatise, my magnum opus for a post-pandemic AI world, right? How do you not only survive, but how do you thrive? How can you do this and enjoy the process? How can you bring more joy? How can you make life easier? So the first A is you assess. And I encourage you, as I share this, think about how you're going to teach this to somebody else. Remember, you take advantage of something called the explanation effect. When you learn this to explain it to somebody else, then you're going to learn it so much better, right? And what we do is we help you go through this, assess your reading speed, assess your memory, assess your reading comprehension, assess your goals, right? Assess your memory. And so first thing you do is assess. And then the second A, I would say, is you have to accept. And this is kind of a weird thing, but you can't change the past 12 months. It is what it is, right? And you have to put the locus of control in the present, in the locus of control, your agency, your sovereignty within yourself. Because I want to remind every single one of you that you are the pilot of your life. You're not the passenger, right? You are the pilot of your mind. You're not the passenger. You don't have to be at the effect. And so you can't change the past. We are a work in progress. All of us are, right? Instead of, comparing ourselves to other people, then you just need to accept, what's happened to you and then take responsibility for it. And you accept the things that you can change, right? The things that you control the controllables. And I always say there are 3 things you could always control. What are they? Your mindset, your motivation, and the methods you're using every day, right? Your mindset, your motivation, and the methods you're using, your head, your heart, and your hands. And so you accept what you can change, and then you change what you can't accept. What areas, as you assess things, is not acceptable, right? Because you don't get, Tony Robbins talks about this a lot, and some of you see me in his series, Own Your Future. You don't get your shoulds, you get your musts. So what can we set a new standard? And that's where you actually go to the third A. After you assess and after you accept, right, then you aspire. And that's what I started this conversation with, because so many people feel sad, or they feel angry, or they feel a sense of hopelessness because, their dreams have been beaten down. a lot of us, with the current economy, with politics, with the state of the world. And you have to have that aspiring future, right? Like put your hand on your chest right now. Everyone do this, right? We make this interactive. Put your hand on your chest. And what I want you to do is just, you feel that? Do you feel your heart beating, right? If your heart is beating, which I assume it is right now as you're watching this and listening, then that's purpose, right? There's a reason that you're here. There's a world that exists solely because you're in it, right? There's a world, we all have an effect on our world, right? We talk about the butterfly effect, right? That means that a butterfly outside right now in New York flapping its wings could create a tsunami across the world, right? And small little changes make a big difference, because when you understand system dynamics, right, system science, everything is connected. Like we are all connected. And how many of you feel that, right? And so you need to build that aspiring future. So again, that's going back to your be, do, have, and share. Because when you aspire, you could ascend. When you have a new vision, right? The proverb that says, those who don't have vision, they perish. So if you really want to soar the rest of the year and really win in the new year, then you want to be able to have that clear vision. You want to imagine it. You want to believe it. You want to trust it. You want to, paint that picture for yourself. Our buddy, Joe Dispenza, we met, he attended one of my memory workshops, and we might have him on the podcast if some of you know who he is, if you like that. We also have a book club coming out. I'm really, really excited about this. People have been asking this for years. We used to have one when we had training centers, different parts of the country. I believe leaders are readers. And so if you have, we're starting a book club the next month where we read a book together, and then I'm actually going to bring the author on and we're going to interview him, and you're going to ask your burning questions. What book club actually do you have access live with the author? So we're going to start that. It's a new system where we're creating out of demand, because thousands of you have asked for coaching, and I don't do these lives just because life is busy just like everybody else, and I'm juggling just like everybody else, life and family and a career, and how do you just even self-care, how do you do all these different things, and our philanthropy that we do. But so we created a monthly live where I come with you every single month, and it's thousands of us get together and we talk about what's like current right now. What are the things that you could do right now? We have different subjects, and in this, we're going to talk about various subjects. We're going to talk about, biohacking in our monthly. We're going to talk about artificial intelligence. We're going to talk about brain foods, and these are going to be the subjects actually of the books that we bring in as well. So it's we do live coaching every month and also have a book club. And so we're going to talk about biohacking, AI, brain foods, brain health, wealth creation from a mind's perspective. And we're going to pick books on these subjects, on creativity, on focus, on accelerated learning. I'm going to bring on some of my mentors, people who could read faster than me, who could speak multiple languages, who could do all these things, who are exceptional every single month. And it's a format where we get to be together as a community and build our mind power. We're going to talk about mindfulness. We're going to talk about growth mindset. And we're going to go deep in motivation and sleep and exponential thinking and so much more. The book club is brand new. We're going to open it up here. We wanted to do this first for our members as a thank you so if you're a member of QuickBrain and you have our app, we're opening it up to all of you. Here you'll get an official invite. We just set this up for you. It's called Quick Success. So spell it right. A lot of people misspell my name. KWIK success.com is all the information. And we made it very, very affordable. For most people, we donate a good power to that to build schools as we have. I want to thank you. So whether you've been with me for a day or a decade, just know that I have your back. There's a 30-day money-back guarantee. My team they front-loaded it with so many extra bonuses that you get as a thank you for joining. And then we'll also have these surprise guests that come in every single, on a regular, every quarter. And we're going to surprise you. And we're going to do we want to be able to over-deliver for you. So we'll have people come in and do exceptional training. And also a lot of my friends are gifting their programs on sleep and biohacking and accelerated learning that we'll put in this Limitless library for you as well. So going back to this, let's go into it. First, you assess where you've been the past 12 months. You accept it, because you can't change it. You aspire, you build out your be, your do, your have, and your share. And then what you have to do, the fourth A, is you have to act. because as I mentioned, knowledge times action is power. Knowledge by itself is potential power, but all the books in the world, all the podcasts, all the courses, and all the training, none of it works unless you work, right? So that's the bad news. But the good news is when you, listen to me, when you do what other people don't, when you get yourself to do what other people don't, you could live a life that other people can't, and that's the through line between, when I spend time with exceptional people in all areas of life, every age and stage of life, they're willing to do things that other people won't do so they can enjoy a life that a few people could really enjoy. But it requires that you apply what you learn. So throughout this session, ask yourself, how can I use this? Why must I use this? And then when will I use this? And then the final two A's I would give you after act is axe and add. Axe means you want to bring an axe to it. What does an axe do? It cuts off, right? Because nothing changes if nothing changes. Let me say that again. Nothing changes if nothing changes. And I know that sounds so obvious, but every day you wake up with a chance. You know why? Because you have a choice. Every single day you get a chance to recreate yourself. Like, I don't think that we have like just one life. We have every single day. We have 365, 366 lives in a year. And every time when we wake up, everything could change because we could get rid of things, we could axe the things, and then we could add things, right? And so, I talk about you have a to-do list and a to-be list, but I also think you should have a not to-do list. And what's on your not to-do list? What should be on your not to-do list? Is it not eating sugar, or not drinking, or not picking up your phone the first 30 minutes a day? Not complaining. That's a great one, right? Because excuses are useless, right? And when we complain, it just wastes time, it wastes energy, and nothing changes. Maybe you want to, on your not to-do list is junk food, not being quiet, not overworking, not scrolling. Excellent. I love all of these. See, let's get real right now. You've probably forgotten more about personal development and success than most of your friends and family combined, right? They're probably like wondering, like, what are you doing today? You're like, oh, like I'm gonna listen to my coach, Jim Quick. You're like, why? And their family's like, why are you always doing that? Why are you always reading those books and listening to those podcasts? And they act if you're a little bit weird, right? And I know my family and friends were like that. When I had my brain injury and I was struggling all the time and I was trying to make myself better, I think sometimes our peer group kind of keeps us level set because they have good intentions often. They don't want you to get your hopes up. They don't want you to feel disappointed if you don't reach your dreams. They don't want to maybe lose you. I think deep down, they feel like you're growing or developing, and they feel like that change, and maybe it's a mirror to them, and maybe they're not changing, right? Because if you could do it, and then anybody could do it, and why aren't they doing it? And I think that we can't change people, but we can inspire them, and we can be an example. I believe the life we live are the lessons we teach. So many people, that's why I enjoyed my podcast when I had Mel Robbins on, and she had a simple way of acknowledging herself, just high-fiving herself in the mirror after she brushes her teeth. And this is something I do every single morning. I just it sounds kind of like weird, but I just high-five myself like after I learned that from Mel. And it's like you high-five somebody because in your nervous system, since you were a child, you high-five somebody because why? Because you're congratulating them, you're encouraging them, you're cheering them on. But so often we don't do that for ourselves, right? So what should you axe and what should you add? So you could axe, you could reduce your junk food intake, your drinking, your smoking, your phone time, your self-judgment. How about we go there, right? Stop on your not to do, stop judging yourself, stop excuses, stop complaining, stop self-doubt. And then finally, the last thing you do is you add. Right? And what's on your ad list? Self-care? Because when you judge yourself, you limit yourself, right? I used to judge myself all the time for being broken, for not accomplishing the things as quickly as everybody else, right? But that did very little to change my life. So what would you like to add, right? And and the formula is really easy, right? You know this. You constantly learn, you work really hard, you be kind, and the results speak for themselves. Appreciate, because gratitude is the foundation where you teach yourself there's enough. I always say if you want to feel wealthy, and the big part of, by the way, the quick success, which includes the book club, which includes the live with me every single month, and includes a lot of bonuses and trainings, it's really geared towards mastering your mind. That's really what this program is about. It's about us getting together every single month through reading a book together, talking to the author. I'm going to show you in every single book how I memorize parts of the book, and so it teaches you like, hey, if somebody, and I'll show you some of the books actually. We're going to obviously do Limitless Expanded. So we're going to do a whole book club 1 month on that. But another one, like things you won't hear about, like this gentleman here, Dr. Dom. He wrote this incredible book, It's All in Your Mouth, and talks about how your oral health relates to your brain health, right? Things that it goes beyond brushing and flossing. And it's so many powerful things, little things that you could do that change your life. So that's going to be part of the book club. We're also going to invite our friend BJ Fogg on, who is at Stanford University, runs the lab of behavioral habits and sciences there on tiny habits, how to change your habits. And then he'll come on and we'll do a training together on it. We're also going to bring Dr. Daniel Amen on as well, because he's written like 40 books. I'm not sure which book we're going to choose. Maybe you could vote on it and we'll choose that one. And we're also going to give you privy to new books that haven't even come out yet. Like this one, we've had Dr. Uma on before. This is a new book. It doesn't come out till later in December. Calm Your Mind with Food. There are actually certain foods that will reduce your stress. Did you know there's certain foods that have been shown science-based to reduce your anxiety? Another book that we're going to go through in book club. And by the way, even if you don't join, these are books I recommend that you read. So many people ask, what am I currently reading? I just finished this book, Winter Swimming. And this is all about cold and hot therapy by the #1 researcher in the world. And so Dr. Soberg out of Denmark did the largest, the most comprehensive research on cold therapy and heat therapy to improve your life. To improve your health, your mental health, your physical health, and also your performance. And yeah, Fern, if you're kind of a little bit apprehensive about cold, you have to tune into this, because she's going to show you tactically things that you could do, even if you're fearful of the cold as well. I'm also going to bring my friend Michael Gelb on, if he's willing. He wrote a great book called How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci. This is kind of what I call my cog. COG is Circle of Genius. So I'm going to bring like an advisory board of the mind, if you will. And I'm going to bring a lot of those people in every single month. And every single month is going to be a brand new book. We're going to read it together. We're going to speed read it together. I'm going to give you the tips on how to read it faster, remember the things, and then we bring on the authors as well. So again, that's at quicksuccess.com. And all you have to do is set up an account. It's really easy, just your email address and your name. And you can set up the account. You can cancel any time you like. And then I'm going to share with you my entire book list. I'm going to take you through and show you my library, the things that I'm learning every single month, and we will learn it together. All right. So that's really the goal. So I gave you those 5 or 6 different A's. And then I just want to talk about what's on your mind right now. If you have an account, by the way, in the app, you could just log in. And so we make it very, very, very easy. And this is the thing. It's not just a book club, right? It's really a group of us to master our mind, because our mind controls everything, right? And we're going to talk about biohacking. We're going to talk about AI affecting your human intelligence, the best brain foods. I'm going to just literally do stuff from my kitchen and show you what I'm doing. We could do it all together. And that's really the goal. And that's the magic, right? There's a story about Harry Houdini. How many of you know Harry Houdini? He's probably the most famous magician of all time. I actually learned a lot of the memory techniques through Mentalists early on in my career. This just dates back like 30 years ago when I first got started. And magicians do these amazing things where they're able to memorize a deck of cards or names and faces. And I learned these strategies. And I asked him, I was like, can I teach other people? And he was like, absolutely. This is going to help a lot of people. I don't think he realized at that moment how I stalked this guy at a hotel. I saw him perform, and I came back the next night and I waited in the lobby and I couldn't wait. But I heard the story about Harry Houdini, who made a name of himself by escaping from every imaginable confinement. And you might think that you want to escape some kind of confinement. You feel limited, an area where you feel stuck, right? So it's very relatable. And so he really was the escape artist. He could get himself out of being stuck, from straitjackets to multiple pairs of handcuffs, clamps on his arms, right? He would go underwater, and he boasted that no jail cell could hold him. No jail cell could hold him. And time again, he would be locked in a cell only to reappear like minutes later when everyone thought it was impossible. And it worked every single time but one. He accepted another invitation to demonstrate his skill, and he entered this jail cell, and he was wearing only his street clothes, and the jail cell door, was shut. And once again, he pulled out a thin but strong piece of metal from his belt, right? Magicians have their tricks, and he began working on the lock. But something was wrong. No matter how hard Houdini worked, he couldn't unlock the lock. And he tried for an hour, he tried for 2 hours, and he tried everything he could, but he failed time and time again. And how frustrating must that be? How frustrating is it when you tried a couple of things to get out of where you feel stuck, you feel confined? Maybe it's some, family issue, or maybe it's a relationship thing, or maybe it's your health. You're facing a big health crisis and you try a couple of things and it just doesn't work, right? Or, financial situation that you're in. And then 2 hours later, exhausted, he gave up in frustration. And do you know what the problem was? The cell had never been locked. And Houdini worked himself to near exhaustion, trying to achieve what could have been accomplished by simply pushing the door open. And the only place the door was locked was where? It was locked in his mind, right? And you see, we limit ourselves in our mind all the time. We dream big dreams only to lock ourselves, inside this door in our minds, when in all reality, you just have to push through the door and it will open up the opportunities in your life if you're willing to do the work and make the effort. So I want us to be able to make this a great year, and don't let your mind trick you into thinking you're locked into your current situation. In science, they call this learned helplessness. Learned helplessness, right? It's this whole idea where an elephant, at the circus, which I'm not, for, but it's tied to a stake in the ground, and you wonder why it doesn't just escape, because it's such a massive animal and so strong, it could easily pull itself out. But since it's been trained, since it was a baby, it was tied to a similar stake in the ground with that rope. And in the beginning, for days or maybe a couple of weeks, it tried to get its sovereignty and its freedom, and it pulled and pulled, but it wasn't strong enough. But later on, it grew into this incredible beast, but it still felt like it was locked inside of that animal's mind. And I'm here to say that, some of you have done the turning exercises we've done, the mental exercises that we've done together, that there is more. And it's sometimes we are locked into the jail of our own mind. So the reason we created Quick Success was to have a monthly reminder that you are free, that you are limitless, and give you some practical tools and strategies and mindset and motivation to be able to push that door open and get into a new room and a new life. And that's really the key, right? Because we know that New Year's resolutions, that they don't work, that if you wait to the new year, they don't work. Studies have shown upwards of 92% of them fail. But I'll tell you why they fail, right? You could have big goals and to overcome your limits that hold you back, from learning or for earning. There's going to be a big stress and focus on making money every single month, because I know when you have more of a financial abundance, you have more options in your life. Growing up with immigrant parents who didn't speak the language, they came here to the U.S. My dad was 13. We lived in the back of a laundromat that my mom worked at. I know people could work really hard, and sometimes the system doesn't necessarily reward those efforts all the time. And so you remember, you need the right methods. And so we're going to have somebody come on in the book club also that really has mastered finances and talk about the brain and how you learn to improve your earnings, right? Because the more you learn, the more that you could earn. Because it could be both frustrating and very confusing when you set goals or you set resolutions. But every single month, it reminds us to check in with our progress. And that's what we want to be helpful for you with. All right. So here's what you could add into your life to level up your learning in your life, right? I would say the first thing is you need challenge. All right. You need somebody to challenge you in a new way. That's why you have a coach. I couldn't afford a personal trainer for most of my life, but when I could, I said, like, hey, this is worth the $75, the $80 a week just for one training a week. And then I eventually built it up. But having somebody push you and to get you to do one more rep, one more race around the track, with challenge comes change, right? With struggle comes strength, right? So you need something to challenge. And that's what we're going to do. How are you challenging yourself every single day to be better? And I feel like the best way of doing that is to have a coach, right? I have a voice coach because I speak a lot. There's other people have a financial coach. They could have a personal trainer. They could have a marketing coach or a wealth coach, right? Coaching is a great way to compress decades and download them into days because they share with you their strategies, right? The second thing you need besides a coach is you need consistency. I want to remind you, you can't go to the gym once or spend 8 hours in the gym and just be done for the rest of the year. It doesn't work that way, right? And so if you're persistent, you could achieve it. But if you're consistent, guess what? You get to keep it. All right. If you're persistent, you could achieve that goal of a great relationship. But if you're persistent, you get to keep it. If you're consistent, you get to keep it. Because there's a principle in finance called compounding, right? Where little by little, a little becomes a lot. Little by little, a little becomes a whole lot. And that's really the goal. And that's what we focus on, right? And so when we go through this monthly, we give you the challenge and we help you remain consistent because we're together at multiple times every single month live. Right. Certainly we'll record it as well. So if you can't join live because you have something that conflicts with it or sleep, then we'll make it available as well. But we'll all read and we'll share our notes in this community. And that's really the key. We'll share our big takeaways out of our learnings in our life with others because it takes a village. That learning is not just solo, it's social. Those who also join and become a member, you'll also get discounts on everything that we offer, in our ecosystem, right? On our merch, on our programs, just as a thank you for being part of it. So it's kind of like the Netflix for mental mastery, if you will. The third C, besides having challenge, besides having consistency, is you need clarity, right? You need clarity because clarity is a superpower. You can't hit a target that you can't see. And one of the goals every single month is me helping you clarify who you are and what you want and how you want to be able to show up. Right? And because that's what clarity does, because it gives you focus. I talk about that magnifying glass that you're outside and people are burning leaves or whatever they're burning. That point is very sharp. It's very bright. And when we describe somebody as bright or sharp, we think they're more intelligent, but maybe they're just better focused. So that's really the key. And so we help you develop clarity in together, and we set group goals. And there's another, C that's here, but it has an A in front of it, which is accountability, right? You need somebody to be accountable to. And you know who you're accountable to? Our community. And that's going to be the final C, is community. Because here's the thing, nobody could do it alone. When you see people on social media, and I'm not going to out anybody, that says they're self-made this, or self-made that, self-made millionaire or whatever, I promise you they're not self-made. That it takes a village, right? At the very least, it took customers or other people to build them up. And we're all standing on shoulders of giants, right? For me, I stood on so many shoulders when I got started because I was this 18, 19, 20-year-old kid speaking to people who are 2-3 times my age, but I was pulling from knowledge from people that I've learned. And we live in this expert economy, right? The self-education economy where you could take your mess and turn it into your message. And I'm going to help you in this series on how to show you how to monetize your message more with people. So if you are a coach or you want to be an author or you want to be a speaker, I'll share with you, or you want to start a podcast, I'll share with you and pull back the kimono or pull back the curtain, because magician doesn't do that. Magician just entertains and shows you these tricks. And if you see me live on stage and I memorize a room full of people's names, or they give me 100 random words or numbers, or I recall them forwards and backwards, I don't do this to impress you. I do this to express to you what's possible, because the truth is you all could do this too, right? And yes, you could be a testimony for your own life, because the life you live are the lessons that you teach. So remember, consistency, clarity, challenge, community, accountability is so very important. And the last thing I would say is you need a coach, right? Find a coach, whether it's me or somebody else. I focus on the area of brain coaching because I feel like your brain controls everything, that this is the greatest form of wealth in the world. That is, yes, there are haves and have-nots, but also there's this gap between those who know stuff and those who just don't know stuff. And if you are overloaded with information that you need to read or to absorb, you buy books and they sit on your shelf and it becomes shelf help and not self-help, then then what happens, right? You have to not only read these books, but you have to implement these books. And that's why we wanted to add the book club to the quick success system. So that way we could be reading these books together, speed reading them together, focusing on together, and then talking with the expert behind the book. And I'll ask them questions, but you're going to ask them questions. We're going to vote up those questions together. You can come online and ask them questions live, and we're going to have an incredible time. I could promise you, yes, this is the pitch. This is an invitation to you. And this invitation is for you basically saying there's a greater self that's patiently waiting. There's a version of yourself that's patiently waiting. And the goal is we keep showing up every single day until we're introduced to that person. And my goal is for you to live that life that you talked about or thought about 12 months from now, where you're celebrating, you're opening them the metaphorical champagne. Maybe don't drink champagne, it's not a brain food, but then you're celebrating. And like, if I was to ask you 12 months from now, it's like, how has the past year been? And you say like, I crushed it. Then what had to happen in order for you to feel that way? Because it doesn't happen at default, right? It's not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. And change is a constant, but growth has to be a choice. And it's a choice you have every single day. Like, you chose to be here right now. You chose to be part of this right now. And when we do this, I'm really excited about the book club just because I want to read all these books. They just handed me this book, Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. If you haven't read this book, if you apply this book, your life is just you change your brain, you will change your life. You change your brain, you will absolutely change your world. Because the reason people fail is why? It's either unrealistic, if there's lack of accountability, they're not tracking things, you're not planning things, you have self-doubt, you lack clarity. And that's the reason why we took all these different factors and said, okay, we can't just do this as a one-off. This has to be consistent. And this is not, again, a book club. This is group coaching. This is the only way where we could together, thousands of us around the world, really talk about the things that matter most, right? So it's group coaching with a bonus of a book club, right? And so this is a great way to start. And I really think everything starts with the brain, right? It is the lead domino. Think about that. If you ever played how many of you played dominoes when you were growing up, or maybe you still do? Right? You want that first domino to hit and then all the other dominoes fail, right? If they fall. And that's the lead domino is your brain, right? It is the focal point that you turn on, it's to turn it a little bit and everything else lights up because of it. And it gives you multiple rewards. And I want to remind you that's really the key, is to get the multiple rewards, because the goal is, it's not just time management, it's learning management. Right? It's importance management, right? This was for those of you who joined Limitless Productivity, right? That's what's focused on. The L in Limitless stands for learning management. You need to manage your learning, right? We discuss your learning curriculum that you want and how to make the most, of your time in that program. Then the I in Limitless is importance. Write that down. First, there's learning management, then there's importance management. And that's priority management. Remember, the most important thing is to keep the most important thing the most important thing. And then there's the M in Limitless is mind management. What is your mindset about productivity? What is your mindset about your own performance? What is your mindset around wealth that could be holding you back? And then the I, which we talk about every single month, is implementation management. That's where you're managing your action, your routines. That's why we're going to bring on the author of Tiny Habits to come on to do a training for you, specialized just for our community, to help you to be able to mastermind your daily routines, your habits that will make you more productive. Remember, first, write this down. First, I create my habits, then my habits create you. First, we create our habits, then our habits create us. Now, also, by the way, if you join for the year, you get 3 months for free. So if you do join our quick success system every single month, for an annual, you sign up for the annual, and again, it's 30-day money-back guarantee. You can cancel anytime. Then we're also going to not only give you more than 3 months, but you're also going to get, for those of you who like the shirts, you're going to send us your shirt size, and we're going to send you a shirt also as well. So we'll all wear our Limitless shirts when we're kind of tuned in together and on video together. But after the implementation management, there's time management, right? I will share with you my strategies for task switching. How in the morning I create, in the afternoon I consume, in the evening I clear, right? And I'm going to go in deep on how I manage my time to get more done in less time. And then the L in Limitless, the second L, is lens management. What's the lens do? A lens, like the magnifying lens, helps you to focus. This is mastering your focus. And what you focus on is what you get more of. Your focus determines your feeling, your focus determines your reality, your feelings determine what you do at any given time. So I'm gonna help you to be able to manage your focus if you have trouble with distraction. Also, there's energy management. The E in Limitless is energy management, and we're gonna have the top experts come in, and I'm gonna share with you also on the monthly how I optimize my energy. The things that I do, the little things that I do, even when I'm not sleeping very well because I'm traveling or something else, to optimize my energy. We'll discuss how to generate energy, because you don't have energy, you create energy in your life. Just like you don't have focus, you do focus. And then the last two S's in Limitless, which we focus on, is surroundings. Like, how do you manage your own surroundings? I'm going to talk about things that in your surroundings that are going to hurt your brain. We're going to talk about EMFs. We're going to talk about air quality. We're going to talk about the quality of your water. We're also going to show you how to organize your inbox and organize your desk and organize your bedroom for optimal sleep, optimal performance as well. And finally, the last S in Limitless is state management. State regulation is so important for your kids, for your team, managing how you feel. I talked about your to-do list, talked about your to-be list, talked about your not to-do list, but what about to-feel list? What do you want to feel throughout the day? Because you don't have feelings, you do them. And feelings are like signposts. They're telling you to act in a certain way, right? So, and there's always a positive behavior behind every feelings. If you feel angry or you feel, let's say, scared, maybe it just means you have to prepare, right? And I'm going to show you tactically how to do that in a way that's extremely fun. We'll have opportunities for us to go live every single month together, share our wins with each other, celebrate each other as well. We do a lot of work with a lot of athletes who have had concussions or traumatic brain injuries. That's why I want to bring in Dr. Daniel Amen. Your brain is very resilient, but it's very fragile. So what does it take to be able to not only bounce back, but also bounce forward? When I talk about the brain, and that's really why we're choosing in book club, they're not just random books. They're books specifically that will level up your learning and level up your life, level up your bank account, level up your body, level up your brain. Because I want you to know your brain. What does it feel to love your brain, to respect your brain, to start trusting your brain again, to be able to train your brain, and then really unleashing your brain? So if you want more of those C's, you want consistency, you want challenge, you want new accountability, you want new capabilities, because the brain is the ultimate adaptation machine. If you want more coaching and you want a community of winners, people that are on the path with you, then join us at quicksuccess.com. And what I would say is, now, don't try it for me, try it for you. You could tell I'm very excited about this because I know what's in this program, because this is what I do every single day for my life and for my family and for our clients. But I know not only what's in this program, but I deeply know what's inside you. 32 years of doing this every single day of my life. I've seen things from all different ages, backgrounds, careers, diets, education levels, financial situation, gender, history, IQ. And I could tell you, set all that aside, the one difference that makes a difference is our choices. That I believe these difficult times, they could distract you, these difficult times can diminish you, or these difficult times, they could develop you. And you ultimately decide, and you have the keys. You have the keys that one new choice takes you a new direction. One step, look at this. If you're going this way and you take a step this way, over time, you're going to end up in two different destinations. And the next 12 months is going to happen with or without this. And my goal here is, where are you going to end up? Because, while it's uncomfortable, let me get real here. Life is hard for one of two reasons. It's either because you're leaving your comfort zone or because you're staying in your comfort zone. And I'm here to say that the people that are willing to step outside their comfort zone to play and practice at the edge of their limits, they're living life in this area. It's not unknown. That's where you find your passions. That's where you find more of your purpose. That's where you find, I don't feel like truly, if you feel burnt out, it's not always because you're doing too much. Take a pause. Sometimes we're burnt out not because we're doing too much. Sometimes we're burnt out because we're doing too little of the things that make us come alive. And I'm saying that you can't pour into everybody else without pouring into yourself. You know, my friend Lisa Nichols, she's written some incredible, best-selling books. She says, like, she doesn't even pour from her cup. She pours into her own cup until it overflows into a saucer, and she pours from that saucer. Like just let that sink in. And so when's the last time you poured into your cup until it's overflowing with abundance, with wealth, with energy, with vitality, with growth, with learning, with a sense of contribution, with abundance. And then you have all that excess to be able to give to somebody else, right? From your saucer. And what I'm saying is, don't feel guilty for the things you do for yourself. You have to make a hard choice. It's been my experience with behavioral sciences that people if they don't pay, they don't pay attention, right? So putting a little bit in, a couple dollars a day, gets you to pay attention, right? Gets you enough skin in the game to follow through. And then we can look back 12 months from now, celebrating, knowing this moment right now is the moment everything changed for yourself, and that's really the goal. I want to thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We're at the top of the hour. If you like this sort of content, join us, and we're going to do this every single month. And we're going to pick very specific topics that you vote up for an area that you just feel light you up. Because remember, there's only 5 ways of changing your life, right? You either start something new, you stop something, you continue doing what you're doing, which nothing changes, you do more of something, or you do less of something. And my goal is to take those 5 things and help you direct it in a way that it changes everything. Because we're all in this quest to realize and reveal our fullest potential, right? And the goal is we show up every single day together, right? And we go on this path together. And here's the thing, you are not alone. We can do it together. Not just with me because I'm so great, and not because of just these authors we're going to bring in every single month because they're so great, and a bunch of surprise trainings we're going to do every single quarter with people that will absolutely blow your mind because they're my coaches, they're my mentors. I want to share them with you, and they're going to be giving and gifting in our Limitless library some of the most amazing content that they sell for thousands of dollars also. But because of my relationships, I want to help make your life better, and you don't have to spend, I spent 30 years of my life and over $1 million investing into getting to the place where I am now. And the good news is you don't have to spend that time or money because I did a lot of that hard work for you. And a lot of these experts did it for you. And so what we do is we share the best practices, those patterns of genius to get your intuition and your intelligence and your implementation to a whole new level and a whole new life. I'm your brain coach, Jim Quick. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. I love you. I wish you the very best. Remember, your life is like an egg. If an egg is broken by an outside force, life ends. But if it's broken by an inside force, life begins. Great things begin on the inside, and you have greatness inside of you. You have genius inside of you. And when is now the time to let it out? Go to quicksuccess.com. I hope to see you inside today. That's where we're spending all our time, most of our time, not on social media, but mostly in this app. That's where you get personal attention from me and my incredible team. And be limitless, everybody. Thank you so much. God bless you.